Listened to and viewed from over 68 countries from around the world, this is the Gridcast, and I'm your host, Danny Cox. Behind the camera is Tyler McQueen, and with me is my co-host. He's a box owner and a grid enthusiast, and when he's in the front rack, he needs a shirt that says, "My eyes are up here." His name is Conan Bruce. Conan.
Yeah, if you can look behind us here with Tyler with the camera, I am a box owner, but the box
exploded.
Exploded. So what you're seeing behind us, guys, is soon to be the new Impavidus Gym, which will be home to quite a few things grid related. We moved in about a 3-day time span, and obviously haven't finished building out. But as you guys will see, one of the reasons why we're doing this is so that you guys can see the evolution of all this going on around us. We will eventually have a nice little studio again with a big Gridcast sign and a shrine to the grid. But anyway, this is our starting point, and eventually we'll have a full-on Eleiko rig in here and all the grid toys, and it'll be a blast.
Can't wait to put that video out.
Oh, it's going to be badass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So today's episode in Quad 1, we're going to talk about all the athletes from the NPGL who made it to the Reebok CrossFit Games. And in Quad 2,
which is a buttload of people.
Oh, tons of people.
Yeah. The Quad 2, we'll just dig into some amateur league stuff again. We've got some updates on the championship that happened down in the SAGL and some of the other happenings going around.
Yeah, and in Quad 3, we have Elijah Muhammad from the New York Rhinos.
Easy.
Yep. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start the show.
We love to lift, laugh, and improve. This is Björk Odinsdatter.
Okay, so the Reebok CrossFit Games, the regional competition, is now finished.
They're all done.
Yeah, so now we can actually report on all the NPGL athletes that made it to the Reebok CrossFit Games in Carson, California.
No, more importantly, I can stop making fun of people running on treadmills. Yes. If you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, that's all I did, and I'm not apologizing for it.
You know, we're not the only ones.
Every time I turned it on and tried to catch up, I caught them in what race was that? I forgot. What
I don't know.
Event. It's not a race, it's an event.
Yeah,
right? Whatever event it was, that's the same dream event I would always get was them just sitting there, and I was like, oh my God, I can't do this.
You know Kenny Kane from the Positivity Project?
Yeah.
He even said, well, so I left during the treadmill competition. So we're not the only ones.
Yeah, all right. But no more treadmill jokes for a while.
Okay, so for your Baltimore anthem, we had Elizabeth Akinwale that made it, and also Masters athlete Elizabeth Warren. 2
Elizabeths
on
the same team.
Right. I didn't even notice that. I'm pretty dense. And I'm going to put this list together. Whatever.
Elizabeth squared.
And for your DC Brawlers, 4 athletes made it. You had Cassidy Lance, Con Porter, who's also in episode 22, by the way. And then Masters athletes, Sean Ramirez and Janet Black.
That's from who?
That's from the DC Brawlers. The Brawlers.
And this list, so we're going to go, this is a long list. And the reason we do this, though, so you guys kind of get it, is these athletes deserve attention.
Heck yeah.
Right? Because this will all just kind of go under the rug. If you don't catch it on the website or if you don't scroll through all the leaderboards on CrossFit's page, and it's not their fault. I mean, there's just a lot of people up there, right?
Right.
You can't really decipher. And here's another, this is actually where I'm going with this. CrossFit is not kind enough to say all of these grid athletes made it to the games.
Right.
Okay.
And we broke it out per team.
I will point out that grid is nice enough to talk about when people make it to the games. Right?
Isn't that nice of them? That's
okay.
Super nice.
So anyway, 2 sports working together, kumbaya.
There's not much kumbaya singing. All right, you know what? Kumbaya singing. We'll just say that.
New York Rhinos.
Yeah, so New York Rhinos, you had Elijah Muhammad, so stay tuned in Quadrant 3 for that interview.
Got easy on.
Yeah, and then, okay, so technically Annie Thorisdottir isn't on the team, but there's a lot of rumors floating around that she's going to be there after the first week.
After the games?
After the games.
Yeah. We're hoping. I'm sure it's all just technicalities as to how all that works out. She's got to have her
boyfriend's
focus.
The coach.
Yeah, right. She's got to have her focus on the game. She does have podium potential, obviously. She's won a couple times.
And she's pretty ticked that she got third.
Yeah. So we know we're going to see on her podium. She should focus on that and then focus on grid. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And then you have 45-year-old Ron Matthews from the New York Rhinos that also made it to the games in the Masters qualifier. And then for Boston Iron, you have Whitney Yellen, Lindy Barber, who just barely took out Sheila Barden from LA Reign. So that was really close. Sheila Barden, though, she's crushed. Oh, my God. That was hard. I saw this picture online.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It got me right here.
Yeah, we have her on one of the Off the Grid episodes when we were up in Boston.
Lindy Barber? Yeah. We're dancing with her. So check her out on Off the Grid. And then Sheila Barden, who I just mentioned, too. She was on one of our episodes. I can't remember the episode number right now, but somewhere around 19 or 18. And then we have Spencer Hendel from the Boston Iron. And then Masters athlete Miwa Andrews.
Yeah, and Spencer's he's been to the games before. No,
no slouch.
I haven't had enough coffee this morning.
This dude hasn't slept in 3 days.
Yeah, working on the gym, baby, grinding.
But his voice sounds beautiful today, though, so that's a plus side.
I had a lozenge before I came.
That's good. Okay, so LA Reign. Well, even though it's not really going to affect the team's performance per se on the grid, the coach made it to the Masters. That's kind of cool. Dusty Highland.
Yeah, if you guys remember, if you were, I don't know how much we talked about it in our our draft update, but actually when Miami got up to pick, Miami Surge got up to do one of their picks, they drafted Dusty Highland.
Yeah.
And the whole room was like, what?
Yeah.
And it was a joke, of course, but it was funny.
We have Noah Olson, episode 21. He made it, obviously. Lindsay Valenzuela. And then we have 3 Masters athletes who are in the 40-plus category for the grid. Chris Exarchos, Becky Conselman, and Tanya Osborne.
Yeah. And some more folks, again, that probably wouldn't get a big shout-out anywhere else, except maybe from their home folks. And we like being able to give them a little pat on the back.
LA Reign, they're a little star-studded over there from the
yeah, they are.
Reebok CrossFit Games and previous champions on there. So, it's just kind of in the glitz and glamour anyway because they're in LA. So, whatever.
So who made it, though?
The what?
No. Go ahead.
Oh, whatever. Dude, I'm tired, too. This whole move got me tired, too. We're a little off. That's okay. So, from the Miami Surge.
We'll do some snatches.
That sounds great to me. From the Miami Surge, we have Alex Anderson, Nick Uranker, who's in episode number 7, by the way.
Yes.
And Nick is an awesome dude. He is a true, what am I trying to say? He studies the sport of grid.
Right. He's a professional.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But that's not the word I was looking for, but that's okay. He's basically a professor of grid. He knows the ins and outs of grid. It is pretty amazing. We got to talk to him a lot in LA during the LA Pro Day. He sat there with Tyler and I for about a half an hour talking about all the ins and outs of grid and all the little tiny movements. And he was critiquing everybody who was on the grid right there and talking about people who are wanting to make the teams later. I think I learned more in that 30 minutes than I have the past year.
Yeah, and as a heads up to all you amateur grid athletes or aspiring grid athletes, that's how you're going to make it to the pros. A lot of these folks are unbelievable athletes, but if they don't become students of the grid, students of the sport,
students of the sport.
Yeah, if they don't become students of the sport, you got a good chance of knocking them out of their spot, right? Yep. So if you're hungry and you want to make it to the teams, you got to be a good athlete. There's absolutely no way around that. But if you bring a lot more value to the team if you understand the sport. And I'm going to tell you who understands the sport, Nick Uranker. We're just going to give him a PhD in grid.
We should.
Yeah, honorary.
I think he's grid ready. And then also for the Miami Surge, you have Brooke Wells, Jen Jones, and April Lowe is the Masters athlete, 40-plus athlete from Miami Surge. Phoenix Rise, they have 1 athlete who made it. These are all individuals, by the way. This isn't. Right. These aren't the people who made it from the teams.
Yeah, there's probably a lot.
There's a whole lot of them. I know there are,
right.
But to look through that list would have taken me another 10, 12 hours.
Yeah. So we're just stuck with the individuals. Sorry, guys.
But Amanda Goodman, who we missed a couple episodes ago, she made it to the Phoenix Rise. So Amanda Goodman.
And I'll tell you what, guys, when we post this up on Facebook, how about this? All those of you that know teams that actually made it, that are grid athletes that made it on team, tag them on the Gridcast page.
Yeah, give them a shout out.
Yeah, tag them on the Gridcast page, and we'll shout them out too.
And then San Francisco Fire, Alessandra Pacelli, Ben Gerard, and Chad Augustine, part of the Masters, Chad Augustine, and he's also in one of our episodes previously, I think episode 17. And then Jolene Undershoot also was a Masters athlete. She's actually 3rd in her in the Masters Women 40 to 44.
So why is it, again, we're pointing all this out, besides obviously wanting to give shout-outs to all these athletes because they don't get enough attention because if you're not in the clique, you don't get a lot of attention from CrossFit.
Right.
You don't make it in all the videos. I know they do their best to get everybody in there, but I'm tired of seeing some of the same folks, and I think we all are.
Over and over.
So we got a lot of these athletes that probably wouldn't get any attention, so we point them out. But that's kind of a side note. If you go back to some of our earlier episodes where we talked about how, as analysts, as grid analysts, as sports analysts, how are these athletes going to be multi-sport athletes? And so, you can say functional fitness, CrossFit Games, grid is enough alike. It really isn't. It's starting to splinter where it's not. So one attacks your weaknesses, one celebrates your strengths. It's hard to train for both of those.
Absolutely.
Right? One, you have to be a generalist. One, you need to be more specialist, less generalist.
Yep.
Right? The other one, you can't be a specialist at all. It will kill you in the games. So these are athletes that are have unbelievably been ready for the unknown and unknowable, and ready to show up on June 15th and throw down.
And if you want to hear an
15th.
Athlete talk about this as well.
The first match is
if you remember Lucas Parker, so CrossFit Games athlete, multiple different times, right? He actually has a YouTube video up, and I'll try to put a link up on there. But it's I think it's Confessions from a Kayak, I think is what it was called. But he did a 7.5 minute, 8 minute talk about NPGL versus CrossFit, and talks about how NPGL is great for the sport, for all aspects of the sport, and how it takes a different kind of athlete to be in both. So don't take our word for it. You can also hear Lucas Parker.
Yeah, listen to the athletes, and we'd love to get some of the athletes. We're actually going to talk to some of these athletes over the next few weeks, months, and as they play out through the games to see, hey, how'd you do it? Do you want to do it again? Did it beat you up? Are you going to be able to maintain this year after year as it gets more important to be good at grid versus, which one's going to be your day job?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And which one's going to be your hobby?
Right. So week one's coming up, and on the 13th we have the Boston Iron versus the DC Brawlers. So we're going to talk a little bit.
We're going to do some picks here?
We're going to do some picks here.
Oh. So if you guys haven't seen, hopefully you have, Danny threw down the gauntlet on the Grid Watcher. Grid Master.
Grid Master.
God,
yeah, you get those confused.
Which
he or she up the ante. And they are now not wanting to risk a beer. Now they're going to scotch and ask us to pull out our wallets.
Oh, now I'm going to have to get serious.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like scotch.
No, I'm a bourbon guy, but that's pretty close.
We'll do scotch.
So, okay, so
Boston, D.C., who
Boston,
you picking?
D.C. I'm definitely picking D.C.
Definitely?
Definitely picking D.C. Now, Boston,
it's going to be close.
Boston's a good team, right? And I think they've improved from last year. Mm-hmm. And a few weeks ago, they already had one training camp with all their old players that transferred over. Not any of the new players yet, but of their old ones.
They did an early training camp.
Yeah, so I think there's something to be said there. I think that's really good. I know that D.C. is on their way today.
Mm-hmm. They just got on planes.
Right, got on planes today because I spoke to Becca Day before this, that she is landing and starting their training camp. And we also saw
Taylor Stallings' ticket on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Picture of her ticket headed to L.A.
So Boston's got a little bit of a head start, I think, in that, but it's still...
You think D.C.'s going to pull it out?
Yeah, I still think they're going to pull it out.
All right, how about Miami and L.A.?
That's a tough one. To me, that's going to be the lower of the matches that we're going to see. I think you're going to see some mistakes in there, but I think that Miami's going to pull it out.
I think Surge is going to win. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. Next one is New York versus Baltimore.
All right, here's where we differ a little bit.
So I'll just say what it is.
Stay with your pick.
So my pick is New York, right? But you're talking about, for me, a 7th place team versus an 8th place team in my rank.
Yes.
So there's not much wiggle room there.
How many times are you going to kick Garrett in the nuts?
I know, Garrett, love you, dude. But seriously, you guys haven't been under the lights yet.
Right. No, it's going to be. So, it's time to prove the proof is in the pudding.
Right. And again, I hope I'm wrong.
Yep.
But
show up, don't blow up.
But it's going to be tough. I mean, I know they're doing some awesome team building right now.
Yep.
And they've been there for a couple of days.
And this is why I'm going with Baltimore, New York. Because, again, as you pointed out, we're talking about, in your rankings, we're talking about a 7th team against the 8th team. So it is splitting hairs. It could go either way. And I'm going to put my money on Baltimore mostly because, I know they're going out for a 2-week training camp. I don't think the whole team's there. Most of the team is.
missing the Ruskies and a couple people who are at the last regionals.
Right.
Just a couple more days of recovery.
Yeah, need a few more days of recovery, but they're bonding.
Yep.
They're racing. They're getting hungry.
Yep.
They're getting. I bet you Garrett's not even feeding them. I bet he's just putting them in a corner and making them so hungry.
Actually, you know what? I know what they went to In-N-Out Burger on the first night.
They did, right?
They did.
So yeah, he's feeding them. But you know what I'm saying? These guys they're going to show up. These guys and gals are going to show up in Baltimore with a chip on their shoulder.
Yep.
I mean, from Baltimore, they're going to show up in LA with a chip on their shoulder.
Well, yeah,
and
because
hungry.
they've been calling us out a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
they're a little ticked
That's all
that
right.
we put them in 8th, but I'm cool with that.
So I'm taking Baltimore over New York. And the last match we got is Phoenix San Fran, and
That I think is going to be the match of the weekend.
That's going to be the best
by the
match
way.
of the weekend.
Yeah, because that's 3rd place versus 2nd place in my rankings.
Mm-hmm.
So that again is a tough one to call, but I still think that San Francisco is going to pull that one out.
Yeah,
That's tough though.
it may be too close to call, and
Because Phoenix has some really strong players,
Yeah.
and this is going to be a strength match.
Yeah, and
So
San Francisco was, they were big last year. Phoenix had some, I think probably could have had better opportunities with some of the matches that they had. I'm probably going to go with San Francisco too. Probably going to go with San Francisco.
So the only one you differ with me is Baltimore and New York.
Yeah, I think Baltimore's going to kick New York's butt. Sorry, New York.
Yeah, well, that's okay. All right, so that's there you have it for Quadrant 1. I think we've finished all of our reps here. So let's head on over to Quadrant 2.
See you there. All right, guys, we're going to get into the ins and outs of the amateur leagues. Just trying to give you guys an update here in Quadrant 2. So, hopefully you caught it. Hopefully you were watching it on social media and the interwebs. But the SAGL had their championship this past weekend.
The big dogs.
Yeah, big
finished
fight
up.
between Carolina Thunder and the Atlanta Assassins. Carolina pulled it out, and it was a hard fight with Atlanta right behind them. But
Well, it's kind of crazy that Atlanta Assassins actually kept up as well as they did because they had
how many people got drafted from Carolina?
6.
6 people got drafted.
Yeah.
2 or 3 people going to the games. Let's just say Carolina had a big, strong team, right?
big bubbas.
Yeah, and Atlanta held in well, particularly looks like through the later races. But in the end, Carolina won. Congratulations, Carolina.
But what's awesome is that the MVP
Right, that's where
of the
we're
Atlanta
going next.
Assassins was Michelle Benedict Skidmore.
Yeah, Michelle was the MVP of the championships, and she was from the Atlanta Assassins, so big props.
Yeah, tough to actually get the 2nd place team to have
Yeah.
MVP from them. So that's pretty dope.
So Southern Amateur Grid League, the OGs in the amateur league of the amateur leagues.
Right. Wrapped up the first
closed
season.
out their first season. Second season NPGL starting. That's pretty cool. Let's move around the country a little bit and talk about NorCal. NorCal League they're going to have their first. I don't know whether they're calling it an invitational or tournament. I can't remember because everybody uses those two back and
Yep.
forth. Bottom line is their first main event is going to be this coming weekend.
That's
right?
exciting.
Yeah, so
That's very fast, actually.
yeah,
Damn, that's
yeah,
quick.
they got on it hot. But I still think they're taking their time, which is good. I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to do this. They're going to have a little fun with it, and we're going to talk about how that's going to play into the Grid Invitational here at the end of the quadrant. So NorCal kicking theirs off this weekend. Right behind that, you got the next weekend. Obviously, got the first matches of the NPGL.
Yep.
2 weeks after that, you're going to have WAGL. That's going to be the LA area, Western Amateur Grid League.
Very exciting.
Yeah, so they're June 27th. They're going to kick theirs off. So now you will have 3 of the leagues out of the 6 that are out right now, and they're growing fast. So I'm trying to keep up with the numbers. The 6 that are out there, you're going to have 3 of them that are going to have, one's going to have already ended their season, 2 more kicking off. Then let's move over to the MAGL, the Mid-Atlantic Grid League. They had to postpone their original tournament and combine, and if you wonder why, look behind me.
Right. This is going to be the spot.
Yeah, so the Mid-Atlantic Grid League, this will be their venue. Our gym here, Impavidus Gym, will be kind of the home of a lot of things in the Mid-Atlantic for grid. The MAGL will be separate, obviously, but anyway, this will be the venue. So,
Which will have, by the way, a full Eleiko rig.
Yeah, we mentioned that in the first of the show. We're going to have it'll be an Eleiko facility, bottom line. And but bigger than that, mid-August, right? Mid-August, it's going to be huge to have a good tournament through the Mid-Atlantic Grid League. And somewhere in there, that'll start off either preparation probably. So I think this is going to be my prediction for these amateur leagues. Hopefully, all of them are not focused on starting a season now. what they're looking at is preparing for the Grid Invitational.
Yes.
If they're not, I think they're losing out. Particularly, I mean, if you're WAGL and you're NorCal, why wouldn't you? Right?
Of course.
You're on the West Coast. It's gonna be a little tough for the teams on the East Coast, but if they plan and they prep and they get some sponsors and they organize, you can get some teams out there. And we know, at least we've heard, that the language is there on the website, generally speaking, that they're going to invite a team from each of the amateur leagues.
Yep.
as it stands. Somehow or another, there'll be a few set-asides for that, as there should be, as for some foreign teams also. Talking about foreign teams.
Which is awesome, by the way.
So wrapping this whole idea up of the amateur league. So gridinvitational.com, if you haven't checked that out, you need to go look at it. Three ways you can sign up. One as a coach, general manager. One as a team, or as a fan. I'm sorry, as an athlete or as a fan.
Yep.
Athlete or as a fan or as a coach/GM. Sign up as a fan, right? Go on there, pick your teams that you're going to vote for, that you're going to cheer on, and help these folks get picked. Because that's kind of how it drives. It's driven by fan base, right? So the numbers are climbing. You've already got like 16, 17 teams on there. There's 3 teams that are pretty cool that stand out.
Yeah, 3 teams especially. One of them, I have Irish roots.
Yeah.
And so I may have already thrown my hat in the ring just early on. But I became a fan of the Celtic Ireland team. I can't remember the actual name of the team.
Celtic Fire.
Celtic Fire, is that what it is?
I don't know. I just made that up. Alex Fitzpatrick.
Alan Fitzpatrick.
Dude, we're messing everything up. Sorry, Alan.
3 days of no sleep.
I know, no sleep. There's no excuses.
No.
Now Alan's going to be ticked off. Like, dude, that's their team out there. And he's already kind of thrown down the gauntlet with our local team out of the MAGL, the
Hooligans.
The Hooligans. Not sure if they'll make it to the Grid Invitational. We're way, way far out for that. But it's really cool to see an Irish team.
Yep.
So we got Irish. Then we've got Hungary.
That's insane.
Right? That's pretty cool. So I would expect we're going to get some other European teams come out.
Sure.
I just can't imagine.
If Hungary's in it, I'm sure other teams are going to be in it.
Yeah, and then the big player, right? The big dog, Australia.
Yeah, look out.
Now, why do I say big dog?
Crikey.
Crikey. These guys and gals in Australia throw down when it comes to functional fitness.
Absolutely.
I mean, look how many folks, look how big their regionals are for the CrossFit Games. Look how many people they send to the CrossFit Games. And, oh, my God, look at Con Porter.
And our second highest market is in Australia. And, yes, look at Con Porter. I can't look at him for too long because
it's just inappropriate.
It's inappropriate, yes.
So Australia, they're going to come with the Thunder. Did you get that? The Thunder Down Under? Anybody ever been to Vegas? I don't even know where this show's going.
I think that's my wife's favorite poster down in Vegas.
It is. These guys and gals are going to come with it. I know they are, from Australia, coming out to the Grid Invitational. They're going to have a huge fan base that are going to pour out. So we're going to see them, those 3 teams. I can almost guarantee you are going to make it to the Invitational as long as they can find a way to make that happen, right? I mean, as far as they're going to have the fans. They're going to be I'm sure the NPGL wants international representation, and let's talk about that. So if you picture Hungary and Australia and Ireland and whatever, France or whoever else jumps into this thing, right? When this is done and they all go back home, this is going to be in September timeframe during championship week for the NPGL. What do you think, guys and gals? What do you think is going to happen after that?
Right.
Grid around the world.
Heck yeah. That's going to be awesome.
They're going to come here. They're going to get a taste for it. They're going to figure out what the sport is. They've been watching it, right? So they've been watching it. Now they're going to feel it, do it. They're going to go back home. You're going to see Grid explode and expand overseas.
You know what? All you league organizers out there, I'm not going to be upset when you send us plane tickets.
We will come do a show in every country in the world.
Let's do it.
All 68.
Let's do it.
That are listening to us.
Right. As long as all the league organizers from there
just send us tickets.
Yeah.
Or Benjamin's.
Yeah, either one.
Benjamin's
I'm good with that.
Yeah, either way, I predict, and I don't think this is a huge prediction. I think anybody can see this. Next year, we're going to see Grid around the world.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're going to be talking about it constantly, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, this next year is going to be exciting.
All right, talking about fun, let's talk about our boy EZ.
Yeah,
we got him coming up next.
Yeah, so next up, he is third in the Atlantic region for the Reebok CrossFit Games in the regionals competition. Easy Muhammad for your New York Rhinos is up next. See you there. Welcome to Quadrant 3. I'm really excited about our next guest. He is a part of your New York Rhinos. He just made it to the Reebok CrossFit Games in Carson, California. His name is Elijah, easy like Sunday morning Muhammad. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing really well.
Hey, man, I want to say congratulations on making it to the Reebok CrossFit Games in Carson, California. And tell me what it feels like to make it to Carson for the CrossFit Games. What does it mean to you?
It means a lot, man. Been putting a lot of training in. Been surrounded by great athletes, and just seeing them and their accomplishments, and every year kind of shooting for it but not getting there. It feels amazing to finally put in the work, put in the time, and it all pay off by getting to the big show, the big dance, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, so you're not the prototypical CrossFit athlete. You're a little bit taller than most guys out there. What do you do in order to compete with the other guys who are a little shorter and have shorter time with the reps, right? So how do you do that? How do you compete with them?
Honestly, for barbell movements, just try to be a little bit stronger than the smaller guys, just so I can move weight faster than them when it comes to loads. And then on the gymnastic part, man, it's just get it done, man. Just try to keep up with some of those smaller guys. But all in all, it balances out pretty well because barbell movements I'm really strong at. Gymnastics movements I'm fairly good at. Something that I would like to work on and get faster at, but I'm really good at them. So it kind of balances out when it comes to workouts,
Right.
and stuff like that.
Right. All right, cool. So I understand you were a former basketball player from Tennessee Tech.
Yeah.
And how has it, being a basketball player and having a team structure like that, how's that helped you in grid?
Huge, man. I mean, it's been huge. Just the discipline of, getting up in the morning, getting stuff done, keeping people in line. It's been a huge thing, and it transfers over right to grid because it's just that team chemistry that you got to learn to build, building kind of personal relationships with everyone on the team so that you understand them better, so that when it comes to being on the field, it's almost like you know exactly what they're going to do. They know exactly what you're going to do, and they feel confident, just being under you, like you telling them, hey, do this, or I need you to do that. It's 100% trust in one another.
Nice. That's awesome. So what did you do growing up? Who were your interests? Who did you follow? Who was your inspiration?
Really no one, man. It's kind of weird that you asked that because growing up I didn't have a father, so it was just kind of like my friends and older guys in the neighborhood that I grew up in. But I just kind of picked in a little bit from every man I kind of met, like just kind of picked and choose and then meshed them all together to what I felt like a man was supposed to be and how he was supposed to groom himself. So it's a variety of a lot of different men that have been in my life that I've kind of bumped into, stumbled into, lived with, or just known through the years, that I just kind of pick and choose little parts of them and just said, I want to be an athlete like him. I want to be a father like him, and different stuff like that.
Wow. So going back to grid a little bit, are you planning on being at the opening weekend in Carson, California on June 13th and 14th?
Yes, I'll be there.
Awesome. How did you find CrossFit, and then how did you find grid?
Found CrossFit and strength and conditioning in college. My strength and conditioning coach, Chip Pugh, was huge into CrossFit, and he offered me a job as a strength and conditioning coach. And he was just like, I want you to compete in CrossFit. I think you'll be good, kind of deal. And I was just like, no, I gotta get a real job. No, competing's over. I'm not playing ball and I'm not doing anything. And he was just like, man, you'll be really good. If you be a strength and conditioning coach, I want you to compete on my team. And I became a strength and conditioning coach and went to my first kind of regional competition and fell in love. Was just like, I love it. It's competition. It's fun. It's fast. You got to work hard. So it's everything that I was about. Right. And then after doing that, I kind of gotten a little bit more known in the CrossFit world and just competing and stuff like that. Did really well at regionals in 2014, almost qualified for the games. And then I got a couple calls, and they were like, "Hey, you need to go to this grid league." And I was just kind of like, "No, I'm a CrossFitter. Like, I want to do CrossFit. I want to qualify for the games. I don't want anything in the way of me training and getting to the game." So it was just kind of like, no. I got a call from Ian Berger. He's a Nutriforce athlete and the general manager of the New York Rhinos. And he was like, "Man, you need to go to Grid. It's a lot of people talking about you, and I think you'd be a good prospect in Grid. I think you can bring something to the table." And after sitting down and talking to my wife about it, because I think it was like Father's Day weekend or something crazy. Yeah. And I was like, "No, I'm not leaving. It's like Father's Day weekend. My son was just born." I'm like, "No, like I'm not going." And she called her mom, and her mom flew down here to be with her and the kids while I was gone. And she was like, "Your ass is going." So, so I ended up.
That's a good lady right there. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I ended up talking to my boss, and he ended up actually booking us tickets and flying out there with me,
nice.
So I could have somebody out there with me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So rumor has it that you were training in the same facility, perhaps, as the 4 times CrossFit Games champ, Rich Froning. Is that true?
Yes.
So is that true still today?
No. Today I'm in Alabama. I've been here for going on 3 years, so I've been away from him for a while now. Not training with him, but still following the methods of his training and things that I've learned when I was there.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So we reached out to a lot of the fans from the Gridcast, and we had a couple listeners ask some questions. So Kenny Cox wants to know, what did you do to improve your strict handstand push-ups, since that was a weakness for you a while back?
Just a lot of, honestly, strict handstand push-ups, a lot of strict pressing, kind of isolation work, like with dumbbells and stuff like that, banding work. I was reaching in every element, and as I continued to do it throughout the year, I honestly felt no better with them. I was still taxed out. I was still getting very fatigued in my shoulders, but I was just smarter. I got a better understanding doing them so much with so many different movements. I got a better understanding of what my body could and couldn't do and how fast it could and couldn't move, which allowed me to game plan workouts and just say, stick to this game plan and you'll be okay, and don't let anyone take you out of it. So it's been tough with that movement because I've been working on it so hard, and it hasn't came to where I can compete in it. I just got to kind of get through it. But a lot of isolation on the shoulders, just dumbbell work, constantly doing strict deficit or strict handstand push-ups, and then a lot of bandit work.
All right, good. So then Joseph Ogburn asked, how exactly did your name Easy come about?
Man. All right, so a lot of people kind of ask this, and I just kind of, it's just easy, just a nickname. I got it when I played basketball.
Okay.
I played AAU basketball, travel ball, and it was just something I used to always say. Just this shit is easy was kind of like the words that came out of my mouth. Like every time I was playing, like, man, this shit is easy, and I used to call other people easy. Just kind of say, like, man, he's easy money, So, like, as it grew on and the kind of saying grew, my AAU coach was like, "You're easy." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "That's your new nickname. Your new nickname is Easy." And it was just an AAU ball thing, and no one ever knew about it in high school or where I'm from. And then I got to college and at Tennessee Tech, and they walk up to me and they was like, "Oh, man, you Easy." And I looked at them like, "What?" Like, why are y'all calling me that? Well, my AAU coach had went to Tennessee Tech before I got there and told them about me and talked to them and visited with them and stuff like that, and didn't tell me she was down there. So I went to the school, and they're like, everybody at Tennessee Tech is like, "Yeah, that's easy, this and that." And next thing you know, it just clicked. And since my strength and conditioning coach was the guy that brought me into CrossFit, that name then transferred over into CrossFit because everybody on the basketball court called me Easy.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. So now it's time for our gridlock session. So that's a fast-paced 10-question and answer a section, and right after that, interview will be done. All right. So here we go. Donuts or pancakes?
Pancakes.
When you vacation, do you want to go to the beach or to the mountains?
I don't vacation.
Oh, ever. Dang. Beer or wine?
Wine.
How many times have you crushed the CrossFit Games champ Rich Froning in basketball, and how good did that feel?
I never crushed him in basketball because he would never play me.
Oh, that's chicken. If you had to do a mile run or a 2K row, what would you rather do?
Mile run.
Weightlifting or powerlifting?
Weightlifting.
Chuck Taylors or Nanos?
PF Flyers.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
What is your favorite race number in grid?
What is it? Race 10, I think it is.
All right. And who will win the Pinnacle Trophy and claim as the best team in grid for the 2015 NPGL season?
The New York Rhinos.
All right. Very good, man. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. And to everyone else, stay tuned for Quadrant 4. Thanks a lot.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Easy, for joining us on the show. And so what do we got coming up next week?
Yeah, we're going to talk about training camps, because all the teams are doing some variation of either they're already there, they're headed there, or they're going to be there. And we're reaching out to all the teams. We've got thanks
we got
to all
little spies everywhere.
Yeah, well, actually, and we really appreciate all the teams showing us the love and talking to us, and because the fans want to hear about the stuff. So we appreciate you guys, giving us the inside info. We actually might get some Skypes coming in from the training camp, so that'd be cool. We'll share
Cross
that.
fingers.
Yeah,
though.
we're trying to set that up. It's all about technology, and that shit gets in the way. But anyway,
Damn computers.
then of course, right after training camps on the next show, and then right after that, where we're going to be?
We are going to be in San Jose.
San Jose, man. We're going to be there for 5 days. All things grid all the damn time.
So, with all that said, until next time, clean up your jerks and snatches, drink your beer in batches, and always dominate your grid matches. See you guys.